Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios. We have Trooper Wellman and we have special guest Trooper Penley. Now, Trooper Penley, you are a canine officer and your dog is named Lobo.
That is correct.
How long have you been with Lobo?
2 years, a little over 2 years.
And what I would like to do is one of the things that we talk about on Trooper Talk is the DPS. And something that's very important is that people can go from different places. And so can you start off with your training and sort of what gets you excited to do this type of career?
So dogs is definitely my passion. I like playing with the dogs, I like working the dogs, and I think the dogs are the most fun. I started out working a narcotics detection dog, and then we got Lobo, who's an explosive detection dog. He's the first explosive detection dog the state police has had in its 112 years of existence, 113 years of existence. So he's the first one. So we got to build that program and watch it take off. But working dope was a lot of fun, but working bombs is the bomb.
And when it comes to drugs versus explosives, the training for the dog is different?
It's pretty much the same. Detection's detection. You're basically imprinting a dog on an odor, and when the dog finds that odor, the dog knows it's going to get its toy. And the difference is with narcotics, it's illegal to have drugs. It's illegal to have narcotics in your vehicle. So when that dog alerts its probable cause to search, you don't need a search warrant. But with an explosive detection dog, a lot of the odors it alerts on, it's not illegal to have. So you still have to get a search warrant. I don't know, am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. No, absolutely. and I want to get to Trooper Wellman, but when you talk about explosives, like, you know, I think, you know, you think drugs, right? Like we had Lieutenant Munoz on, and, you know, you have fentanyl and meth and all these type of things. I wouldn't even know what an explosive, is that somebody carrying dynamite from a mine or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that something of that nature?
It could be anything that extreme, from having dynamite or ANFO or TNT that's been stolen from a mine, to having black powder, smokeless powder, stuff that's inside of bullets, or any of your fertilizers like ammonium nitrate. Those things aren't illegal to have, but when put together with other things, they can make explosives.
And so, Trooper Wellman, you know, we talk about the agency and how everybody has to work together. So maybe a trooper might pull someone over, like we found with Lieutenant Munoz with the drugs, right? And then they would call the trooper out, right?
Yeah, having Trooper Penley and Lobo in our canine division is a huge asset to us. You know, we rely on a lot of our other surrounding agencies for assistance as well as they do us. And so he's a huge asset to all of us because, correct me if I'm wrong, is Lobo still the only bomb detecting dog down south in Vegas? Or do we have multiple ones now?
As far as the state goes?
No, like all our southern agencies does.
So Las Vegas Metro has explosive detection dogs, and then we have Lobo. The private sector has lots of explosion detection dogs. So yeah, as far as law enforcement, it's us and Metro.
So he works side by side with Metro on the regular because they do they work together to achieve the ultimate goal of safety for everyone in our community, and it's really cool because it builds our partnership that much more. And so if we're on the side of the road, or even, for example, we're going to be holding I hold press conferences for different events that we're trying to promote, and anytime we need like a government building or a state building checked, I can just call Trooper Penley.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you.
And
you
so
know what I mean? So, like,
if he's available, him and Lobo will come and check the building and make sure, do a sweep and make sure that it's safe for everyone.
Right. I mean, you know, because part of that is the Capitol Police.
Yes.
Right, and so that was my question. You know, like if certain dignitaries are coming in, and not to get into specifics,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But like, you know, you and Lobo would then come in to precede anyone coming in to do a, you know, a check,
Yep.
right? And so, right.
Yeah, we show up before the event ever starts or before any important dignitary or person shows up, and we sweep the venue and just make sure that it's safe and that there's no explosives at the venue. And
And let me ask you, so if it, would it make a difference if with him sniffing, if it was a person or a car or a truck or anything like that? Like he could sit next to a person and sniff if a person had explosives on them just as easily as he could like a car or something? Like a drug dog would be able to smell an odor of a, right?
so we don't sniff people.
Okay.
It's just a policy that we have that we don't sniff people. There are dogs out there that do, but mostly we're just sniffing venues and vehicles
Okay.
and whatnot, because a person's constantly moving.
Yeah, no, 100%. When we talk about you and Lobo, there's a special bond. Can you talk about that and where he stays and stuff?
Yes, so Lobo comes home with me at night, and he stays outside. He doesn't get to integrate with my family very much because as much as the people that love dogs and think they're pets, Lobo's still a tool. He's a working dog, and home is boring for him, but work is fun. And I like to keep it that way so he gets excited to come to work and still wants to work. So I go out and hang out with him in his little dog run and whatnot, but he doesn't get to come inside and be a pet.
Go ahead.
I used to do some ride-alongs with our interdiction team, and when Trooper Penley was also had the narcotic dog, and I remember them telling me that in order to train the dogs the correct way and so they're efficient in what they do, is that you want them to be excited to go to work. Like going to work, and as they call it, like with Dad, you know, he gets excited when Trooper Penley goes out there to get him. He's like, "Yay, we're going," right? And keeping that excitement is what drives them to find the narcotics, or with Lobo to find those explosive devices. And so it's like reverse. So you don't want them, like, you know, he just sleeps there, he eats there, but when he goes to work, that's his happy place. And it's a very interesting concept, but it works and it makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's what I was gonna, like. I find it interesting, and you know, that there has to be some form of separation because you know, and how long does Lobo typically work? You know, 8 or 10 years that he would be working in this field.
Yeah, and I think he'll tell me when he's done. But yeah, usually we try to get about 8 years out of him.
And do they, like, if he does the explosives now, you know, in a year or two, would he do drugs, or would he just stay the explosives the whole time?
Once they are on an odor, once they're working in that discipline, they stay in that discipline because that odor is always going to be in their brain.
Okay.
They're always going to be looking for that odor.
Well, I got some pictures for you.
Oh, yeah.
So here, the thing is this. We used to just talk, right? And then maybe around episode 6 or 5 or whatever it was, I said, let's bring some pictures in, because what we want to do is we want to save one life. Now, what I can tell you is that it's catching on, and that people are always coming up to me, and they're always saying, you know, we're watching you, you know, it's great what you're doing. You know, no one's come up to me yet and said, you know, you've saved a life. I know that I personally drive slower because of what we do here. And so, you know, it's really important. And so let me show you some of the pictures. We start off with you. Could you go around here and describe to us what we have here, starting off with you?
That's just me and Lobo hanging out on the truck. That's one of the rare moments he's sitting still. And then that's just me and Lobo taking a picture.
In the truck here, so there's a certain area for just him, right?
Yes.
And it has like where he has water and stuff like that. Is that?
So where the back seat would be to the truck is his little dog run, his little insert, where he gets to hang out, and it's pretty big, and it's got a bowl of water in there for him, and he likes to hang out there. And I roll down the windows, and he barks at
He does,
cars
huh?
and motorcycles. And
He barked at me when I walked up.
he makes going through a drive-through really hard. And
So you know what's really neat about their vehicles? So it's specifically designed for Trooper Penley and Lobo to hold all of their equipment. But something that our K9 vehicles have is there's actually an alarm, like a sensor in there, because the air always has to be running in there. And in the summertime in Las Vegas, it gets very, very hot.
That was
So
good, right.
if Trooper Penley is inside of an establishment or on a call and Lobo is in the vehicle, if the vehicle overheats or if it gets too hot, that sensor will actually send off an alarm. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And then it'll alert him to know that that it's temperatures dropping in the vehicle for Lobo's safety, as well as our other K9 dogs.
And what do we have here?
oh, Lobo and I got to compete in the LVMPD K9 trials for explosives detection, and we got to compete against some really good dogs, and we were lucky enough to take first place in the detection.
And so one of the things that I always like to do is I always like to get into the mind of the trooper and ask questions that nobody else would ask.
Oh.
So here's my question for you. When you wake up in the morning and you're driving here by yourself, what are you thinking about?
Usually, what's for lunch?
Okay. and so, he's totally caught me off guard with that one, you know what I mean? All right. So when you're, let's talk about this. How about when you get a call on your radio that you have to go to something, and you're driving there. Are you going through psychological steps in your mind of what you could see or hear, or you just assess it when you get there?
Usually, we're playing the what if game in our brain until we get there, but you try to get as many details as you can before you get there. And then when you get there, that you have to assess the situation and assess the area and develop a plan from that, and talk to the people that might already be on scene and develop that plan. And so there's a lot that goes into the decision making.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so what do we have here on the right-hand side? That's you and Lobo, right?
Yep. That was just at a demonstration I think we did.
The elementary school.
At
I
an
went to.
elementary school, yeah. And they got to see Lobo find a training aid.
And so what talk to us about what a training aid is.
So I have actual explosives and explosive material that we use for training. It's usually small amounts of explosives material. And
I think that it's very interesting that he stays outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know. Like, you always hear that the troopers, or, that they take the dogs home or whatever, but you don't really know, like, how they separate.
Yeah.
And so I think that separation, I understand from the dog lover standpoint, but I think that, the fact that he's working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
because
so,
if
like, to
he
keep him-
sat on the couch like we do,
Yeah.
he'd probably start to enjoy that, and you don't want
Yeah.
that to happen. You want him to get excited to go to work. So
yeah, and
That's what I
when it
think.
comes to selecting a dog and stuff, you find a dog that has these drives, a dog that wants to hunt and a dog that wants to work, and we select those types of dogs, and it's good to maintain that routine with them, and they love the game of hunting, and so we just make them hunt for the odor.
Yeah, no,
that
I
we
think
want them to find.
I think it's great. All right, car show.
oh, get your friends.
Yeah. I don't know what gets you emotional, but let's talk about Trooper Micah May. Where were you that day? How do you feel about the situation? What gets you emotional? That gets you teary-eyed? Things of this nature.
Not a whole lot gets me emotional. I guess I'm kind of like Shrek, though. There's many layers to my onion.
Okay.
But where was I that day? I was at the airport when the call came out, and they were still in pursuit, and I was trying to make it from the airport to the highway because I was going to try to shut down a ramp or join in. But I remember when Trooper May was struck, I was still pretty far away, but I ended up in the aftermath shutting down a ramp and hanging out there for a while they handled business up top. So that's where I was. Yeah, it's sad. It's a total bummer. Should have never happened.
Should have never happened. And so when you have time for your, when you're in the private of your own car and stuff, do you have self-reflection and stuff like that, of what you feel and, your family and all that stuff?
A lot of times, you think about your family and whatnot, and you think about his family and how tough that's got to be on them. But it's usually kind of where my mind's at, or, when I'm sitting in my car with just Lobo, I like to think, did I forget to pick up his poop or something like that. So usually my mind just kind of is all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that Trooper Penley has been very helpful when it comes to Trooper May's family and his kids and celebrating in the birthday parades and stuff. The last birthday parade we did for his son, Raylan May, it was his 4th birthday. Trooper Penley actually had, what was that vehicle called?
The BWT.
Is a ginormous.
The big white truck.
Yeah, this is like the biggest, if you want to call it, almost like a motorhome ever. This big white one came down the cul-de-sac, and it literally couldn't make the turn because it was so big, and it had to keep reversing and going forward. And I couldn't believe when he pulled up. I was like, "That's the truck he brought," and then it was awesome. And then shortly later, I was notified that the big white truck broke down on the freeway and had to be towed. So he took one for the team, getting that out there for the parade, and then the poor thing broke down.
We had a chance to go out at the car show, and they had the little car, and so very special moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the unit I work with, we were out there too, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it was an awesome event. The IPOF car show. It's not only great to get out there and interact with the community, but it's so nice for all of us law enforcement to come together and get to touch base and just interact. Kind of decompress in a way. And this was so April's going to be Donate Life Month, and we've united, if you want to say, with all of the first responder agencies, and we're going to really be promoting people to register and bring awareness to organ donation, because Trooper Micah May was an organ donor, and through his donation of 4 organs, he saved the lives of 3 individuals. And I know we've talked about it on previous Trooper Talks, but we're going to be talking about it more because it's really cool because the Donor Network is partnered up with all of the first responder agencies in the Valley for the entire month of April. And they're always a great partnership with all of us throughout the year, but we're all coming together for April to bring awareness, and they're going to be popping up at multiple different first responder events, whether that be we coach with Metropolitan Police Department with their Little League Baseball, so we'll be popping up there. School Police is doing a function down at the Speedway. We're going to be popping up there. So this was just another example of where Donor Network was there to show support for the ultimate gift that Trooper May gave, not only during life but after. And so we really want to support the cause and just help save more lives just through donation. And so this group photo here was all of the agencies that were there, and just us showing our support.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I love stuff like this because I don't think that people feel that they can go up to the first responders and just say thank you, and just have a simple conversation. And so it's really nice because I feel that it really bridges the gap.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very special. And so, it was really great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they had the parade
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had and it was great. And so,
Yeah, that's Trooper Brem. She helped me get Trooper May's car out there with all of the community signatures. We actually took the windshield off of it. We have the windshield that's signed by all of the community as well as first responders, and we may display it in our station. But as of right now, we took it off so that way we can take this car to more events and let the community really see the car. Because if you see it in person, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And, there's signatures on that car from when he was fighting for his life till after. And it's almost like a story as you read these different sayings and quotes and signatures, and you can just feel the love from the community throughout the whole process. And so his car is a symbol of, I feel like, our community's love for law enforcement as well as our love for our community. And so we want to try to get it out to more events. And so
yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. And I know the IPO, we were honored to have it out there, and we were honored to hang out. I didn't get to see you.
I was hiding.
I know, but you know what I mean? Next time, then I will definitely get a chance to see you. You know
Right
what I'm
on.
saying? All right. So, Sergeant Smacka, let's give a shout out to his mom. Hi,
Hey,
how's
Miss
it
Smacka.
going?
His mom watches the show
Yeah,
every
she
week.
watches on the. Right. Sergeant Smacka sent us this like 2 weeks ago. And, we always don't take into account a trooper or anybody who does a selfless act. And this is another selfless act where a trooper puts himself in the course of an oncoming wrong-way driver that they have no idea what the person is on, who the person, we could go down the line, right?
Yep.
And in your case, what they have in their car,
Yeah.
which I never even thought about. What if, and I'm getting the chills because it's the truth. See, when we talk about the TV, I always tell people can feel through the television, and they go, no, you can't. And I go, you can feel through the trooper talk. I'm telling you, when you look in somebody's eyes, like you can see in your eye, you know what you're feeling. What if somebody
Yeah.
had,
Like a rolling bomb.
the what did you call it before, the fertilizer, or you know what I mean? What if a truck has fertilizer that combines with the gasoline that catches on fire? And anyway, we'll watch the video.
Did he show you the dash cam of it, the inside of her vehicle?
No,
Ah.
this is the only thing that I got,
Have you seen that before?
Mm-mm.
So
I never saw this before.
I thought it was. Is it Florida Highway Patrol?
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida Highway Patrol. So it was a female trooper, and the vehicle was coming wrong way, and she was trying to weave back and forth to slow it down, and the car just hit her. And you can see, the speeds that the car's traveling. We have people that get injured at, 25, 35 miles an hour, and imagine getting struck at those speeds. The officer is okay. I think she sustained minor or moderate injuries possibly, but it just really makes you walk in our shoes and see firsthand what it would be like to go, head on with the wrong way to stop this threat. And she did. She was trying to stop it because there's traffic behind her. But as well as it also makes us take the perspective of our our motoring public, and when they see these wrong ways, and it kind of gives us a fuels our fire to be, to get out there, and we want to stop these wrong ways. We always have, but now even more when you see it firsthand of what they might even experience. These people that are getting struck by these wrong way drivers for no reason. Everything that could have been prevented, and there's no excuse to be driving wrong way on these highways. We talk about it almost every episode, how we have big roadway signs on all the on ramps, and it's just unexcusable, and doesn't need to be happening. So it's very, very scary. And we saw last week Trooper Brem stop that wrong way on the 95 when she it came. We didn't even get it reported, and remember it had just came at her, and she stopped it in the shoulder. And
Yes.
that's luckily that vehicle is traveling at somewhat of a slower speed, but if they didn't decrease their speed, that could have been her. Like, it's that fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is what we discuss on the show here. You know what I mean? Because it's just too much already. You know, and so you know, people want to go out and have a good time and, you know, do whatever we want, and, you know, fine. But, you know, we talk about the Lyft, we talk about the ride shares, you know, that, you know, have designated drivers, you know, all that stuff. You don't see it as much from your end, right? But you know, at the end of the day, you're still a state trooper.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so even though you don't see it, you still have the same passions. You know, it's just in a different way.
I think, you know, her reaction is the same reaction that I think is instilled in all law enforcement, you know, to protect the public. And that's kind of the cloth that we're cut from when we take this when we choose this career. I would hope.
Yeah.
So we run to danger, not away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And you probably, in a different way, run towards danger that we really run from, because who knows what's inside something that you and Lobo are sniffing out or something,
Yeah,
right?
like
I'm just saying, like, it could be a tractor trailer that you don't know what's inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's I guess kind of the fun thing about being a trooper is the unknown. It's something different. Every traffic stop's different, and everything presents a different challenge that you have to make split-second decisions on. So,
Yeah, I have so much respect for Trooper Penley and for K9 Lobo, because what he does is completely different danger from what I may do on a regular
Yeah.
basis. And I want to say I could do what he does, but honestly, I don't know, because that's completely different to put yourself right next to that package and sniff to see if it's an active bomb, and it could go off. You know, you watch movies and they have to cut those wires, and I just think of the worst, right? So it's very, very scary, and I
Yeah.
thank you for what you do, because I don't think I could do it. I mean, if
Yeah.
I had a choice,
Of
I
course,
don't
of
really
course.
want to
Do
do
you,
that.
do you know a
so
lot
thank
about
you.
explosives?
not as much as I should.
Right. But I
you
mean,
know,
like, you know about bombs and things of that nature?
Yeah, and if we know there's an explosive or a bomb present, and we know where it is, we would never put the dog in there with the handler, and
Right.
we leave that up to the professionals who are the bomb squad.
With the
those
robots.
those guys and gals know how to render it safe and make it safe. But you know, if we're doing a proactive sweep and we know there might be a chance that we come across something, and we gotta mentally note it. And you know, the explosives are fascinating. It's fun. There's so much to learn. There's and obviously, you know, when you're running a dog, you want to know what you're looking for. But I can definitely always learn more and
Yeah.
need to learn more.
No, 100%. I would find it fascinating, because like
Yeah.
I've known it's not something that we, you know, we're our psychological mind is for different things. You know what I mean? And so it would be very intriguing, because you would always be educating yourself. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Once you stop learning, then you know you have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A true example of a community hero, Trooper Fontaine. Trooper Fontaine. Does that get you emotional?
Cliff was a great guy.
All right, tell us a story.
I never really worked with Cliff. I just, every time I was around him, he was super nice and friendly, and we chatted up, and yeah, I always respected Cliff.
Yeah.
Thought he was a good dude.
We had when he passed away, that was all the stories that we kept hearing, you know, and that was all over of what a wonderful man that he was, and you know how he did so much for the community and stuff like
Yeah.
this. And you know, I saw the other day that Medic West did the thing with first responders and stuff to show people what the DUI, what would happen. Did you see that in the news? So they do it like once a year, and they have a tragedy. They make like a mock tragedy with like first responders and all that stuff for
Like
teens.
every 15 minutes. Is
Well,
it every 15 minutes?
I don't know.
Where
but
they
it
go
was-
to the high schools?
Well, this was like
They
a
did that
big
at my
one.
high
They did it
school.
in a big parking
did
lot
it?
or something.
So we've talked about it a couple times. There's I don't know if you would call it an event, but a function they do. It's called every 15 minutes. It's a program. That's what I was trying to say. It's a program here in town, and they go to the local high schools. And I mean, I graduated a long time ago, and they had it at mine. You said you experienced it at your high school.
Yeah.
And they recreate a fatality crash, and they use students from the senior class so that it hits home, and they make them feel what it would feel like to lose their friends. Because of the actions of driving impaired. They have a helicopter that lands. They have the ambulance that show up. I mean, it's the full shebang, exactly how we would do this. Fire cuts the individuals out of the vehicle, and then those students will actually walk around the campus, and they don't speak at all that day, and they're painted with injuries, as well as some of them are painted like, I think they paint them white so that they look like death to an extent, like if they had passed, and they cannot speak to their classmates. So that they actually feel what it would feel like if they had lost their friend. And it's very, very powerful. And I truly believe that is one of the best programs we offer here in the Valley. And I want to say that Clark County School District is the one who spearheads that now, but I could be mistaken. But yeah, Medic West, all of the first responders team up to make that program possible. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was great. And that was one of the things with Trooper Fontaine, that how he dedicated his life to both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so definitely a community hero.
Absolutely.
Oh, video. So I always like to say that everybody loves you. And everybody supports you. And that when we watch this, that's what I always tell all my friends and everybody, that everybody loves everybody here. So it's very special.
That's the Fontaine family. That's a painting. Did you ever see that?
Mm-mm.
So what this was Medic West worked with, I think it was Desert Valley Hospital is where we were at. I'm trying to blink at the moment, but I think it's Desert Valley we were at. And in every hospital, there's an EMT room. It's like a break room. And first responders can go in there, but it is designated to, like, the EMT staff. And, when you have a hard night, you go in those break rooms. There's beverages, there's some snacks. There's AC. You kind of decompress in there for a minute before you go to your next call. Sometimes you just talk to your peers, try to get a smile on your face before you have to go out to the next call, right? And so the EMT rooms are very, very special to first responders, and we cherish those rooms. And Medic West worked really, really hard to get that room dedicated to Cliff, Trooper Fontaine. So that room has that plaque in there, as well as his photo hung up, and that room is dedicated to him. And if you saw it, that last slide, it said that, some people bring a light with them, and even after they're gone, it shines brighter. And that's the whole vision behind the room is that Cliff was such a bright light to everyone that they want people when they're having a bad day to go into that room and take a breath and smile and laugh and feel his energy in there. And just, it's in honor of him, and it's awesome. And so Highway Patrol, we got to go out there. They invited us to be a part of it, and that was just like a fraction of, you know, how many people Trooper Fontaine had touched throughout his career. And to see the medical staff, like, so many had stories about him and calls they worked with him. And, you know, because he had over 16 years with Medic West, or maybe it was 20 years actually, and 16 with us. And just what an amazing person and what an amazing man. And his family was there. And, you know, it's important for us to show up to those things because the family needs to know that we're still there, even though time goes by, as well as maybe they didn't know all these different sides to their dad or their husband. And when you hear people tell the stories, it's so powerful. And it was amazing. So it was super cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and that's cool because no one would ever know that.
No.
Like, no one would ever know that, how special that is, and how, again, you work with everybody together, you know, like how you work with Metro, and it's not just you. And so I think that's very special, the fact of all the agencies, and again, the hospital, you know, we found, you know, how much they're helpful and supportive of everything that you do, right? And to know that, like, that little cherished of story, that's just cool. Anything to add?
No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't have social media, so it's neat to see these things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ashley's the social media. She sends them over. We put them right up. You know what I mean? All right, Sergeant Ben Jenkins. You know,
Sunday was his 2-year anniversary.
tragic. You know,
Beyond.
again, you know, just trying to do his normal thing. You know, trying to be helpful. Not even trying to put his life in, you know, danger. Just trying to help. You know, and just, you know, coming down to just being a good Samaritan, and his life is tragically over. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, you know, I just can't believe it's already been 2 years. It feels like it was just yesterday. And the backdrop in this photo was when the strip lit up blue, in honor of him. And, you know, somebody that's a trooper all the way in Elko, you know, hours and miles away. It's so amazing to see the support from our state and our communities, and to see how his story touched so many people and affected so many people, to the fact that our, you know, 3 million people in in Las Vegas were affected, and we're not even in Elko, and they lit up the strip for him, and it was just amazing. That's Sergeant Smacker right there, just paying honor at the Paris. So, yeah, it's just been 2 years, and it's so
it's
sad.
a tragedy,
Still.
and we want to put into light that every single solitary day that you're putting your life on the line for us, for your family, you know, to provide a safer and a better place. And so it's not something that everyone can wake up in the morning and say, you know, I'm putting my life on the line today because I don't know what's going to happen. And so, you know, I come back to what you do, and then especially, like, you know, it's a very interesting topic of conversation because I never thought about the explosive end of things. I never thought that, you know, a guy driving down the road, you know, in a pickup truck that has 4 barrels of fertilizer or something like this, you know, that it could be a problem.
Yeah.
And so you don't think about what is combined this with and what has explosive properties. And
Right.
so,
And then through Trooper Penley educating us as troopers as well, it helps us. So if we do stop these vehicles or these commercial vehicles with certain substances inside, if something alerts us, then we can call him to come out and be the expert in what the heck we have going on here. So
yeah, I think it's tremendous. Do you take days off?
No, never. It's at least that's what my wife would say.
But Lobo can work, not to say like every day of every day, but like he can, as long as he's sleeping at night, then he can work the next day. Or
Yeah, it's what he loves to do, and we have our days off, and he gets really bored out there, and he just he'd rather be working and hanging out with me, and but it's important that they have days off too.
Yeah,
To kind of decompress. And
do you throw like ball with him and play catch and stuff
yeah, we
like that?
play fetch. We try to play fetch every day, and
Like, I mean, you do like not to say doggy things, but like
yeah, and I take him for
like
walks.
doggy things, right?
Yeah, I take him for walks, and it's important that he's in good shape for what he does, because he is kind of like an athlete. He needs to be in good shape to do his job and do it right.
Every
So,
time I see this guy, he's playing with Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and loving on Lobo, and they're best friends.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
What it feel like you'd have to have that bond, but then when it's like, look, now it's time to work,
Yeah.
right? And so when it's like, okay, let's play. Okay, now it's time to work, and it's focused on work, and so I think it's very cool.
yeah.
Okay. We want to make it light. Unfortunately, 2 troopers lost their life.
Yeah, it's the reality of the job. It's so unfortunate, and I think this one, I got a lot of people sending me this the day it happened, because it was all over social media, but I think because it hit home for us, because it reminded them of Trooper May getting struck by a car and losing his life. These 2 troopers were, I can't remember 100%, they were on the side of the road, either on a traffic stop or helping a disabled vehicle, but a car came and struck both of them, including I think they were out with the pedestrian, and so the vehicle hit all 3 of them, and fatal consequences. And now
Perfect time. Let's talk about the move over law.
Yeah.
The other day, I was driving down the road, and there was 2 Metro officers on the motorcycle, and I was traveling, and the one had the lights on, and he was further down the road, and this one had just probably pulled someone over, and he was just getting back onto his motorcycle and had turned the lights off. And so all of a sudden, these cars were like right next to this guy. And so move over law, I now saw, is for bicycles. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, like, if you see somebody, move over, right?
Absolutely. It's a courtesy, to keep them safe as well as yourself. So anytime you see emergency lights, hazard lights, or, if you just see a vehicle on the shoulder and you can safely move over, please do so. The way the law states is, if you can move over safely, you need to. If you can't, you need to decrease your speed. So, rule of thumb, if you can move over, please just do so everybody's safe.
Do you generally, I mean, when you're in your, do you pull people over in your truck, or that's not generally what you're?
No, I still can make traffic stops and
Because I mean, the
help
thing
with
is, like, maybe
accidents.
they see you and they're like, "Oh, that guy's not pulling me over."
He's still in a marked unit.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm still in a marked unit and can still conduct business on the highways and on the roads. So,
And
yeah,
it's-
but the move over laws, that's a big one, just because of safety. And it's not just for us, but like move over for tow trucks or
Yeah, the tow
FSP,
truck.
because those guys have a hard job and they're working on small shoulders too.
Yeah.
And, there's been numerous DOT workers and tow truck drivers and stuff that have been struck and killed. And, it's just important to move over and give people space and to slow down because you can't be in that much of a hurry.
This is our joining forces with our combined agencies. The Office of Traffic Safety funds these grants to put these multiple agencies together, and that's their purpose, is to slow people down. They have a designated directive that day, whether it be distracted driving, speeding, impaired, pedestrian safety. They have different initiatives that they focus on that day, and this one right here happened to be speed, and 140
140 in the day.
in the day. You saw, we went to NASCAR not too long ago, and I was running radar on those NASCAR cars, and they were going 133. They weren't even going 140, and this is somebody on our local highway. Actually, I don't even mean to laugh. It's just, it's absurd. It's disgusting to me because if there was something in the roadway, they don't even have time to react. They're going to hit it. Or if there was something in the roadway and they do try to react, they're going to overturn their vehicle, and ultimately it just, again, just fatal consequences, and they're going to hurt themselves or someone else traveling at speeds like that. It's unbelievable.
And you drive a truck
I do.
that is different from the normal cruiser that the state troopers have.
Yes.
So when I drive the truck, and it's just like yours, 80 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour is different from a car that Trooper Wellman is driving,
Yes.
right? And so not that many people go 140 in a truck like that, but, you know, can you talk to us about speed and like in your truck? Because a lot of people drive trucks.
Yeah. But it's a different feel. Obviously, our trucks are built out as a police model, so they're built to handle the speed, but it's still reaction time is a big one. And at speeds like that, any little movement or anything like that can be a major movement. And yeah, going fast in my truck, and I try not to go fast. I have a four-legged friend that's sitting behind me, and if I get in a wreck, I know it hurts him, and I could lose him. So it's important. And speeds of 140 is super fast, but it's super commonplace in our society and on our highways these days. It's scary because there's families on the highways, and a lot of these people aren't speeding to get somewhere. They're just speeding because they speed.
That's a good point. We never talked about that. You know what I mean? That I wonder how many people are speeding that just speed.
Yeah, for like a
and how many people, because I guess not that there's a justification,
No.
right? You know what I mean? But like, look, I'm going fast because I left 10 minutes late and I got to get to this appointment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it probably messes with our psychological, that we have the tunnel vision. But I never thought about the fact that there are people that just drive fast
just because.
just because.
And speeding is not to say it's super similar to drunk driving, but a lot of people don't think they're drunk. They're so drunk that they can't drive. They think they're okay to drive. Well, a lot of people think that they're okay to drive 140 miles an hour, but that's professional driver speed.
Yeah.
They're not professional drivers. So if they, come across something, they don't know how to counteract that, or what countermeasures to take to prevent a bad accident. So speed's scary, and
Our top two causes for fatalities last year was speed and impairment.
I know for me, like, that I used to drive much faster. You know what I mean? When I used to get in the car and I used to, and it was great. And then, when I started doing the Trooper Talk, and then I realized, like, I always loved my car for the experience, and that's why I own it. But I was like, oh yeah, it's great for the speed, and now it's like I just don't do it. Because of that reason, because of the fact of having so many conversations about the fact that, you are on the road, and all of a sudden, there was a pickup truck driving down the road before you that dropped a chair out of the back that you don't know that's in the middle of the road, or there's a tire in the middle of the road, or there's, who knows? And, and so it's too dangerous to take your life into it, to do that. So, yeah.
And again, this is the joining forces. So this one's a pedestrian safety one. They'll pick certain areas in town that need some more focus for pedestrian safety, where kids cross. And depending on the holiday, they'll dress up as a heart or a leprechaun or Santa Claus or all kinds of different things. And, as much as he stands out, like even his beard is green, people still refuse to slow down and yield to the pedestrian. And so it's crazy.
He was here, and this person is driving by at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, he risks.
Like,
he risks his life when he does these
enforcements. And I'm like standing there and watching, and on top of which you have a row of motorcycle cops here, a row of motorcycle cops over here.
Yeah, if the lights aren't
Every single
enough.
person sees 1,000 police officers,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, I'm just going to keep going fast.
Yeah.
anyway.
And so he's actually an officer with Clark County School District. I'm friends with his wife, and he loves doing the costumes because he's very passionate about the mission of bringing awareness to pedestrian safety. So
So, slow down. You see somebody in the crosswalk, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Absolutely.
it comes back to the same philosophy, slow down.
Slow
I mean,
down.
Take a look.
this is probably one of the biggest community involvements that we have throughout the year with all of our troopers, because our main focus is the highway. So when we get to actually interact with our communities, we love it, and we always get a ton of participation from our troopers statewide. But here's a couple photos just in 1 week of all of us going to multiple different schools and interacting with children. So it's very, very rewarding.
And so, with what you do, it's not just about you, it's about giving back. And so, you give up your time to go and educate and to make things fun and exciting, because at the end of the day, these could be future DPS officers.
Yeah.
Or troopers,
And our future leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Trooper Penley, you're done.
You did it.
Oh, what do you think? I didn't even get you to cry. I tried. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're very tough.
He was not having it.
Right, he was not having
It
it.
takes a lot. Takes
Okay.
a lot to make her cry.
I want you to know that from my heart, we all love you. We
appreciate
we all think that you're wonderful. We all support you in every single way that we possibly can, and that the purpose of the Trooper Talk is to know how much you are loved.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank
so, you'll give our love to Lobo.
Oh, most definitely.
And so, Trooper
Because he
Wellman.
licks you, he bites me, so
Yeah.
you can give him my love.
He gives me kisses.
There you go.
Yeah.
Trooper Wellman, thank you so much, for bringing Trooper Penley in. It was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
And, again, it gives us an insight into a different part of DPS.
Yeah, anybody that wants to be a part of DPS, this is one of our divisions, our canine. We have the explosives and the narcotic dogs. So, again, NevadaStatePolice.com if you're interested in joining our family.
And they can start, they can come in and say that that's what they want to do, right? Like if somebody wants to come into the DPS, they can, maybe they have the love for the dogs too, like you do, right?
They would have to start as a trooper, and then they can do an intern. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. You can tell it.
No, yeah, just start out as a trooper and work your way up, and you find what it is that you like. I didn't come into the highway patrol thinking I wanted to run dogs from the beginning, and I started my career in Ely, and got to work with one of our canine officers up in Ely.
Okay,
and,
that's what I was going to say, right?
And up there is when I really fell in love with working a dog and watching the dog work and stuff like that, and got down here to Las Vegas and had to work the road just like everyone else. And when the opportunity arose, I got to go over and run a dog and work a dog and learn about that. So you just kind of work your way to it. It's just another opportunity we have here at the state, and it's fun. You come in and you find out what you want to do first, and then work your way to it.
Well, we greatly appreciate you coming in. Thank you again. Let's take a look at this camera right here and wave and tell everybody we'll see you real soon, okay? Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.